Hello friends, this is Venkat Gandhi. As you know, we have Mr. Jaggi Vasudev, the founder of Isha Foundation and known as Sadhguru, uh, whom I have been, watching and reading for quite some time. He makes interesting arguments about various things, particularly about your inner self and a lot of philosophical things. Uh, But as we all know, he has started Rally for Rivers, which to any Indian would be quite appealing slogan. So I was also quite keen to know what it means and what is he trying to do. So I did try to understand, and when I got into certain curious situations, I used to raise my questions, uh, and I was not getting any clarity. And the more I tried to understand, the more it was confusing to me. So let me share my view as to what I could figure out in and so far as what I tried to understand about Rally for Rivers. Uh, I'll try to restrict my talk about the problem statement Rally for Rivers is claiming or making, and did it do any root cause analysis, even if we assume that those statements are correct, and what exactly is the solution it is proposing, and finally, what are some of the means that it is using in its campaign. Uh, Let me first say that it is commendable for Mr. Jaggi Vasudev to go on this long journey himself. Uh, but well, the purpose has to be for the good. So let's just focus on that without ever discrediting him, the man, for the stupendous effort he is making. The first, the problem statements made by Mr. Jaggi Vasudev as of Rally for Rivers. First, today we have 75% less water per person than in 1947. Now, wait a minute, let's understand. In 1947, what was our population? About 35 crores. And what is our population today? We are about 120 crores. So if we have about 350% of the people sharing the same water, we all understand the fresh water comes through the rain. So that's not going to, neither the earth is going to grow, nor the water is going to grow, nor the total amount of waterfall is going to grow on the earth. That's not in our hand. It's only the cycle that continues. So if the same water is shared by 350% of the people, so obviously it's going to be 75% or 70%. So I don't see where is the issue there. It is just a factual statement and doesn't mean anything, quite frankly, because it doesn't really mean anything. What does it mean? And why is, but when you quote it out of context, it is sending off a kind of a panic in the people's mind. Oh, we have 75% less water per person, as if we have 75% less water that we need. Now that's the next statement is coming to. 2030, we will have only 50% of water we need for our survival. So in the second statement itself, first it clarifies it's not that 75% less than what you need. Now, the statement says 50% of water we need for our survival. So is it falling from 100% to 50% within from 2017 to 2030? I don't think so. That's not possible because we are going to grow double the population in 13 years. At the current growth rate, it's impossible. So naturally, it is not 100%. So we have certain percentage that has not been disclosed. Once again, quoting the figures out of context, 50% is on what basis? If you give a number, every per person per day we need so much water and we have only so much, and well, something can be understood, but simply saying by 2030 we will have only 50% of water we need for our survival, and survival is a very strong word. It almost is sending a fear into the minds of people, quite unfortunately and unnecessarily, as if we can't survive by 2030, which is definitely not the case. The next 25% India turning into desert. Wait a minute. Again, what is it trying to say? What is the percentage in 1947? Was it 0 or was it 10? Was it 15? And has it become 25%? Or is it going to become 25% and by when? I think we ought to be asking these questions because these statements are being made completely out of context and quite misleading. Let me tell you, friends, the reality is desert is reduced in India. Let's be honest about it. Desert is reduced in India thanks to the Green Revolution, and our farmers and the irrigation area has increased. We have utilized the river water and it has increased our green coverage and it has our irrigation coverage. So yes, if we had not done this, maybe slight increase would have happened in the desert. But post-independence, the very first thing that our governments did in the first 5-year plan itself was to focus on building the dams. And because we needed food security. So again, I am absolutely not able to understand any of these three statements taken in isolation are sending a very wrong signal to the people. And he has millions of followers who are blindly following and believing that some of these statements mean something to be worried and something to be panicked about. The reality, there is no change in total amount of rainwater in India. There is change that happens between the states that's at a micro level. And that's not in our control. The monsoons movements, change every year. And that's not today, it's the history. Whenever if we only had the data that we of the past also, it's going to prove the same thing. That's at a overall the amount of rainfall that falls on India itself doesn't vary that much, but between the states, year on year, there will be large changes. That's nothing to do. It's very natural. So, what exactly is the root cause? Our rivers, our lifelines are depleting. Again, this is not a root cause. This is the effect. And effect of what? Anything wrong happened? No. We got to understand we are making better use of river waters through large dams and lift irrigation projects. That naturally reduces the worst stage of water going into sea. So, when India was independent, we had very less people, they had very less food required, and but they had plenty of water. They let the water go into the sea. Today, we are almost 4 times the population. We just can't afford. Our lifestyles have improved, and we need much stable food security for a 4 times population. So naturally, we are going to make use of the water. We are not going to let the water go west into the sea. So it's not something that we need to cheer about, that there is, just people watching the rivers full and going into the sea. What is there to cheer about? We're wasting a fresh water. we got to first be proud that as a country we have progressed so much. A river like Kaveri we are using completely, and a river like Krishna almost completely we use the water. We got to be, and Pennar, same case. So, and that's the reason the south of India has progressed. I think this is very sad, for we can't allow a cynical projection of a positive thing and a very good progress of our country and our farmers and our governments and all of us together. It's a very positive thing, Mr. Jaggi Vasudev. Please don't mislead people like this. And let's now come to the solution. Mr. Vasudev is saying that there is a magic wand with him. And that simply magic wand is two. First, just give a missed call. We'll talk about it later. Second, but the policy, only thing, he is going to hand over his river rejuvenation policy recommendation to, I presume, to our Prime Minister, because he is of that stature now. And it's on 2nd of October, and a very holy day for India. Our father of the nation was born. And he's using such an holy occasion, but would our Mahatma Gandhi would have done such a thing of seeking people's support without disclosing this policy documentation, making it public? It's nowhere public. In none of his tweets, nowhere he's sharing that. Spending so much money, printing so much of catalogs, why can't he share and print the river regeneration policy document? For God's sake, we are a democracy. We are asking our support. Please share the documentation as it is for us to make a sense of what exactly are you recommending. You are asking our support, fair enough, but for what? And the only statement he makes that there's a magic formula. We want the government to make a policy that says 1 kilometer width on either side of our rivers have to be with, if it is government land, make it forest. Otherwise, we can't grow paddy and all. It need to be fruit trees or, organically grown private farmlands and no plowing. Oh my God. I can't really understand why on earth this is restricted to just 1 kilometer area, my dear Jaggi Vasudev. You have used a very good slide, but your solution doesn't say that. Please, A Tale of Two Watersheds, the slide that you use in some of your material, I only wish you actually understood that. It clearly shows the rainwater that is come in the basin all the way from up in the hills. It runs over the earth, or it goes underground. And then there is an underground movement of water in the aquifers. And actually, what is run over is very little. The 80 to 90% of the water actually goes under the ground. The rainwater doesn't go into the river right away. So that's a misconception. It doesn't. And yet, to reduce the runoff, you need a lot of plantation, vegetation, anything that can use and let the water, more water go into the ground. Okay. And any vegetation activity, when the clouds are coming, they can increase the chances of precipitation and rains to start, right? So as a result, a forest on the hilltop contributes in increasing the chances of rain, and it contributes in increasing the water infiltration into the soil. And the farther it is from the river, the greater it is the river can become slightly longer, because for that water, the seepage water on the top of the hill to reach the river through underground, the underground water flow rate is very slow. And infiltration and aquifers can be slightly faster, but it depends. And this is a geological subject. Nobody on the earth will know, what's happening under the ground. It's a very complex subject. And your solution, closer to rivers, I'm sorry, Mr. Jaggi Vasudev, it has the least benefit, hardly any benefit. I would say practically zero benefit. If you put trees on the bank of the river, they got to be far away and as high at locations as possible, and preferably in locations where the water has higher chance of infiltration and go into the aquifers, which requires a lot of studies. And I'm really appalled of your recommendation. And one more thing, you are saying put plantation or trees, forest on the bank of the river. Mr. Jaggi Vasudev, how much of a population the people started living on the banks of the river? That's how the human civilization has started. So that's why we have, whether it is Kolkata, Delhi, Hyderabad, or so many big cities, Agra, Kanpur, Varanasi, all of them are on the bank of the river. If only your policy has to be implemented, so where should these people go? And if you're saying, no, we will exempt the cities, so why should a village suffer? So you're against the villages and in favor of the urban people? What exactly is this? You're not traveling through this. You're not seeking the support of the people. And why should? And there is a food security problem that will introduce, Mr. Jaggi Vasudev. Most of our rice production and the production of wheat, the food security is secured by the farmers right on the bank. Now, if I just make simple calculation, if I assume that we have 10,000 kilometers of main rivers, which you want to apply the policy, it's going to be more, but not less. So 10,000 kilometers means both sides means 20,000 square kilometers area. Even if we have 50% of that is currently under paddy, or you're saying that let's remove that. For what? Did you understand the consequence of that? Very good. You will we go back and start importing rice from abroad? Please, don't keep misleading people and make haphazard, and you've been making so many claims and so many things completely disconnected. And what is this? You don't make the policy public and you ask for a missed call and you want to count that as a support for an undisclosed policy or a partially disclosed policy. And finally, Mr. Jaggi Vasudev, we can't become a banana republic. Such a policy cannot be adopted by our country. We got to pilot. Please put your effort. You are on the bank of Kaveri, close to Kaveri River or the other river close, the tributary to Kaveri at Coimbatore or in any of the locations. Pilot it. Prove for yourself what you're preaching is actually reality. Nowhere in the world what you're preaching is proven. Trees are helpful, but they cannot change the rainfall pattern. They can influence a little bit. They're all welcome. And they are welcome across the geography, not just 1 kilometer on the bank. Because trees have many other benefits. Please don't call our rivers as depleted. Now let me come to what actually this momentum could be positively utilized, because I don't want this momentum to be negatively taken. You have done one good thing, okay, you're awakening, but please change it to the right subject. We need afforestation for sure, but it's got to be away from the river and at higher altitudes. And of course, if we can have our technology identify where the recharge of groundwater can increase more and can restore aquifers. Whether it is a national remote sensing agency can contribute, all of them to identify where we should do. But this sort of blind policy, please don't do that. Locations need to be identified scientifically where the plantation need to happen. The next one is about water and soil management. We got to take more out of the same water. We got to produce more from same amount of water, and we got to see how the soil management, it's rainwater harvesting, or the trenches that you can put that can actually contribute a lot of soil management and the water bodies. Look at a place like Telangana, which has got 40,000 water bodies which are being under restoration every year on year. These automatic and the soil does not go down to the river. It stays back in the village, and the villagers every summer take the good soil back to their farms. Now, this is happening every year, and it's in a lot of other states are also start following it. There is soil management and water management and afforestation across India in the right locations is what is required for us to make. We got to rally for water management. We can't make rivers let the water go into sea. No, that's a wrong idea. We need to preserve water. We need to lift the water. And yes, we have to prevent desert formation. We got to lift the water from the rivers and supply it to the deficit areas. Otherwise, those deficit areas are going to become desert over 100,000 years if they remain dry. But if we put recharge the such deficit areas with water, definitely we will increase the green cover and we will prevent our precious land becoming desert. So this is not a criticism per se, but yes, there are fundamental problems in the way you have pushing forward the Rally for Rivers with the blind statements. Please don't be cynical. Use the mood that you're building in a positive, scientific way. We need to commend ourselves for our achievement, and we need to do more in water management, soil management, and afforestation. Thank you very much.